Well, let's get right into what is expected to play out today in the National Assembly with electronic transmission controversies. Been a lot of back and forth, a lot of, no, this is what we said, this is not what we said, this is what we agreed on, this is not what we agreed on. But we're joined by former convener, Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, and Madam NLB. She was there yesterday. It's good to see you again, Madam Obi, and good morning.
Good morning, and nice to see you too. Thank you.
Well, we had to see you again. It's almost like everybody just called in the cavalry. Let us ensure that this is done. I wonder what your takeaway is from at least yesterday's call to action, the protest. Do you sense that the Senate is going to eventually pass this electronic transmission, or are you hearing something different?
I think it is their own interest, you know, to just pass the bill, because there's so many things coming out of Senate. You are hearing, we are not against the Senate, they need to know that. And we are happy to hear the other voices from the Senate as well. At least many of them have come out to say more than 90% of Senate is for the electronic transmission. If you think you have the majority already, why are you scared of electronic transmission? You know, so if many have adjourned and they have met, just like, you know, with the interview with Senator Ningi yesterday and many other senators that have come out, that actually what they pass is electronic transmission real time. You know, what is the quarrel with the real time? Some of the things that is come out, are we speaking with water in our mouth? Some of the things coming out is that there will be no network. We have gone to different elections with the beavers. And what, before the 2023 general election, the beavers were tested in so many obstacle elections. It was tested in Anambra, you know, in Osun State, in Edo, and also Ekiti. And before 9 p.m., we already have, you know, the results. We already almost have about 90% of the results. And that showed up too, even in the 2023 general election, the National Assembly results were up, except for the presidential report. And so what we are saying as civil society organizations, we are not the ones contesting the elections. We are saying let there be a transparent means, a system that builds confidence with the people, a system that they know that they will come and they vote and their votes will be counted. You know that we are at the lowest ebb in terms of the reactions from the public or the number of people that have voted in the voter turnout. And what we're doing is let there be a transparent system. You know, so these things are coming in. And another area that we should also look at, apart from the electronic transmission, the real time, is the issue of reducing the number of days for notification. 360 days. INEC is complaining of the time, that the time is not enough. And now you want to reduce it by half. It doesn't make sense at all. Is it INEC that complained to you to say we need less time? Ghana just, you know, finished their election, you know, last year. The next election for Ghana, they just completed their primaries. So they now know the candidates that are going to come in the next 3 years. And Nigeria is here joking and we are saying 1 year or 360 days is not enough. So what we are hearing, what we think should be done, the Senate President also came out to say, no, we are not against, you know, the transmission, electronic transmission, because it's there already. Put it in black and white. There was an issue with the judgment, Supreme Court judgment, or wherever that is coming from. You know, there is something on ground, and that's why they are seeking for the amendment. The amendment didn't come from nothing. If not, we should work with the 2023, you know, with the 2022 electoral bill. And this day, it reminds us again, 2022, if you remember, we were on the streets and asking the president. It was about 7 times. So we are wasting a lot of time between the transmission, between even the time that the Senate, that's the National Assembly, will transmit to, you know, to the president for assenting. So we are here, you know, a lot of people, the turnout yesterday was good, but more mobilization is going on from different environments, and I'm happy that Nigerians are reacting. Let them not tempt people. You know, people are tired. People, because we do a lot of mobilization, how do you go back to the people now to say you are mobilizing for the 2027 general election? If they do this, everybody can say, okay, let us go. And I want to remind us that the 2023 general election, much as it was flawed, in several ways because of the reportage that came up at the end of the day, many sitting governors or sitting senators and all of that lost their positions to other people. What that means is that there were aspects of the transparency under the beavers work. And this is why we are saying, let it be open to people. When somebody who is an Okada rider gets a space to go to the House of Rep and all of that. So there were some positives on the side. And that's what we want to allow. We just want a free and fair system. Let Nigerians who wish to contest go out there and contest. And let's see where it takes us to. So yesterday was good, but we are waiting for what will happen today. Let them now come out clean. We have seen. I want to also take the opportunity to commend the Nigerian police yesterday. Because going out yesterday, a lot of people came up and said, the National Assembly gate has been barricaded. Nobody is allowed to go to the place. We know these are human beings as well, and I commend them. I saw we met with the DPO of the National Assembly. The area commander was also there for the Nigerian police. And then we had, both the road safety and others, civil defense were also there. We didn't want to go inside the National Assembly yesterday. We didn't come and cause any trouble. We came for our voices to be heard. And I'm happy that gently we came, maintain the decorum. Some people reported that the police put barricades to prevent us from going. No, it was even in agreement with the police. They said, where do you want to stop? We said, we stop here. Let the vehicles continue to move. It was much later that the gate was closed. If not, we're not there to cause any trouble. We're there for our voices to be heard. And if, as they are conducting the emergency session today, if they listen to the voices of the people, pass the bill. What is it? You say you have
all right, Madam Obi, if I may comment, just to further, I know that there was a release by civil society organizations yesterday, and I want to read an aspect of that release yesterday that has to do with this argument. I want you to speak to the argument of real time. The document says that for the avoidance of doubt, we provide clarity on the concept of real time. Real time electronic transmission of results means sending the official polling unit results recorded on Form EC8A electronically from the polling unit directly to the central results portal immediately after voting has ended, ballots have been counted, and the results have been publicly announced at the polling unit. This transmission happens in the presence of party agents, observers, and voters at the polling unit. Now, towards the end, it says, real-time transmission creates an electronic copy of the result at the point of where it is first declared. Real-time does not mean automatic transmission of votes as voters cast their ballot, nor does it mean electronic collation of results. I think this is clear enough. Is civil society also lobbying the Senate to say, you got it wrong, but this is what we mean?
I think they know what real time is. They know what real time is. Some of the arguments, I think one of the senators pointed out the fact that in his own community, there is no network and so on and so forth. Real time means you upload as soon as when the voting is over and the votes have been counted. Normally, even the forms are signed by the party agents right there. And that is what they're saying, that when this is over, you upload into the system. Like when you have your WhatsApp messages, when you go to environments where in the last 6 weeks or thereabout, the intermittent kind of network that we have. If you send your message will hang maybe for a bit, but when network comes, you just automatically it will upload. It uploads automatically, so don't worry yourself about if you upload, it will not work. Don't worry yourself about that. Once you upload, we go into research, we use different tools in the field. When you upload, what happens is at any little opportunity, where you go into the network, even without your knowing, everything will just upload. So that's what we're talking about. We need to believe in the system. And again, I call on Nigerians, wherever you are seated, you know, the media were all over there yesterday. You are doing a great job. I want to commend you, just like I commend the Nigerian police, you know, for the work that you did yesterday and that you've done over the years. And I think today reminds me of when we were watching the President Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memory, you know, watching him to sign that vote. And I did that I watched it from your studio when we saw him putting his pen and paper. I hope that now that we're saying, okay, the real time you are talking about, just put it there in plain language. That is what we're seeking for, and that's what it is about. Remember that they went into series of retreats, you know, went into series of discussions. The chairman of the committee, you know, each and every one of them, they did a great job on all of the bills that came out. And so let's move it on. So we hope that they will be responsible today to talk about what happens thereof. But I always say, carry along the issue of the 360 days. We can't have less days. All right.
Madam Obi, as we begin to wind down, this issue about real-time transmission or mandatory transmission of results from EC8A after it's been countersigned and uploaded, maybe blindsiding us on other issues. You've raised it, the issue of logistics, because I'm wondering, issue of even final list of candidates being submitted by political, everything has been crunched, and I don't know the reason why. Maybe the senators will be able to explain to us later. But let's do a bit of a scenario situation. What happens then? There are two parts now. I don't know whether at the point of harmonization, when the conference committee of both chambers meet, whether there can be a rephrasing of the language. I do not know. Maybe possible, maybe not possible, because normally what happens is an adoption of one over the other. Even the framing currently may have a bit of a challenge using the word IREV expressly without providing an alternative to IREV in case technology evolves in terms of rigidity. So where I'm going to with all of this, what will civil society do? What should Nigerians do if the Senate sticks to their guns and pass what Nigerians are saying, don't do that? Harmonization Committee doesn't step on it to say, no, let's stay with Nigerians, the Nigerians that want electronic transmission. And then there's one more layer, the layer of whether or not the president will sign it into law.
Well, the scenario, I think what we are getting from the Senate is rather, I would say, is positive in the sense that, you know, if they already said that they were not against the electronic transmission, you know, so I don't see it not passing on the positive sense that Nigerians are watching them. One of the things we also want to do is that we want to know who votes for what. Those who don't want electronic transmission, you know, those who are against transparency and accountability, we want to know each and every one of them. Not the yeas and nays. We want to know all the individuals that voted for what. You know, because when we, you know, as a woman, I've been in the struggle for the special seats for women. When there is no transparency, the special seats it's not going to work. But take it that they are not voting for it, they are not pulling it down. I think we should remove the self for it. Let's work for Nigeria. Stand upright for Nigeria, because if you vote that electronic transmission, you are building our system. Nigeria is not anywhere. The whole Africa is complaining. You have the largest unit of the black race in your country and should be fighting for them. But you are busying yourself with little things, so many things. I think it's just a distraction. We hope that they will act wisely, and then I think they know that Nigerians are confused because they want to use the language. It was the language usage that was in 2022 general election that made the last INEC chairman, you know, try to manipulate, you know, the language, because we told him, when we confronted him about the electronic transfer of the presidential election, and the National Assembly election, we confronted him. We heard he was going to use the guidelines, and we confronted. But he didn't, he said no, and then you'll be surprised. Everything will be done on time and in real time. But what happened at the end of the day? He manipulated by using INEC guideline. How can INEC guideline supersede? But the other side of it is that nobody, you know, nobody is above the law. Manipulating it, what have you lived? We need to know that the world is a stage. Right. We are in the world. When the curtain closes, that's the end. You can't undo anything. live your life, stand and leave a mark for our children. The children are watching us, watching adults playing with languages.
Right.
When there are we are raising younger generations. So we hope that they will vote rightly, or to pass the bill. They've done a lot of work, and I commend many of them. Commend them for the tireless working, because it's not easy to even craft a bill or to go through it and make sure that it works well. And so we hope that they will put it in a plain language, that there will be electronic transmission of results real time, and also we go back to time with the 360 days, not reducing the days, because you want to cause chaos and frustration and fraud.
Just before we go, final note, I want to try to maybe put this to bed, and it's for those who have alleged some sort of foreign influence, a third-party influence in this campaign to have electronic transmission in our Electoral Act. From where you stand from your own side, is there anything of such?
You see, I have worked, I used to be the country director of Action Aid Nigeria. I've been in development work for a very long time. I've not really worked with the Nigerian government. And so the international environment are the ones that are even seeking and spending the money we use for continuous education or civic education is coming from support that we're receiving from international development agencies. And then you had several retreats. Some of them were sponsored by the development partners because they want to. Do you know what it is when we write proposals to the development partners to help us sponsor, things like discussions like this? To take people on retreat. Do you know how many millions is spent? Why don't you spend your own money if you didn't want that? We are not saying that is an influence. For many of us who are working in development agencies, we make sure that nothing tampers with our Nigerianness. At our patriotic deals, you can write, there is a lot of money in the development world, you can apply for what you want, but if you are not convinced that they agree with your purpose, you will not apply for it. And so saying that people want, let us take the example of Germany. Germany is not using electronic transfer. Do you know that the German, the electoral umpire for Germany is a card-carrying member of a political party? And the question, when we put the question to him, is like, my electoral umpire has nothing to do with my being an electoral umpire, because that's a professional job. That's a citizen's responsibility. And I do that and make sure that I carry out. And then we ask, why don't you, use electronic systems? He said, Germans trust Germans more than, the machines. What that means is that the quality of their citizenship or the citizens is just up there, meaning that you are responsible, your total allegiance is to your government, is to your country. And so I want to say that for many of us who are activists that have worked in the development sector, even when we struggled, I give you an example of when the logistics was an issue. We asked the INEC chairman, that's Professor Mahmoud then, what is the major problem that you are facing? He said, it was logistics issues. I am telling you, with my team, we looked for donor agencies, anybody who will give us money to organize, a meeting on logistics. And we did this in Radisson Blu. This was in 2022.
Right.
Radisson Blu, to make sure, bring everybody together. And I was so convinced that things will happen. We brought in NACO. You can imagine an example of 2019 when NACO said, that's a National Aviation Handling Company, said they brought in, a 737 to Sokoto. And they got to Sokoto with a crane. No crane was on ground. And so that meeting enabled us. They asked them, tell us which plane you are flying to which airport. Let's get it ready now. NACO and SACO. We had the National Association of Road Transport Owners, National Union of Road Transport Workers. We had the maritime people. We had all of them, under one roof, and we discuss and plan for the 2023 general election.
Well, we have to
make sure that logistics was not
for this insight. I think it's
Nigerian government was ready to give us the money. Thank you so much.
I think it's great to have this insight, and that's an election, by the way, that we budgeted about $1 billion for. But Madam NLB, we have to thank you once again for your time. Former convener, Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room. I know it's a big day for you, so we don't want to keep you because we understand that you have more war to fight, but hopefully you come out victorious. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, and well done to you all and to the entire media, team as well.
Thank you. We'll continue doing our work. We'll take a moment now, and when we return, we'll stay with what the media has to say about all of the big stories with the dailies. Stay with us.